So hello guys, welcome back to my channel Sartha Commerce Wala. So within this video, I will be going to discuss another type of company, and that is known as dormant company. So now generally some students have confusion within their mind that what is the meaning of dormant company, and if it is actually a dormant company, so why people are running these kinds of companies, or is there any benefit of running this kind of a company? So we are going to cover all the aspects and doubts which students have within their mind. So let's get started. So first of all, dormant company is described or defined as per section 455 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay. Now first of all, you need to understand what is the meaning of dormant. So dormant means sleep, which means if you convert dormant as sleep, so automatically you get the meaning of the company, that a company which sleeps. Now here, what does it mean? Which means a company which is not actively working, that is known as dormant company. And you are also seeing this, like this is a company which is sleeping. Okay. So now let's discuss the technical language of the dormant company. So a company that has not performing any operations, which means a company which is not actively performing any operation, that is known as a dormant company. Second, hasn't made any significant transaction, which means a dormant company is a type of company which is not doing any significant transaction from past few years, and along with that hasn't filed annual returns and financial statements from last 2 years. So which means if you compile all these 3 points, you can say that dormant company is a type of company which is not actively doing its operation, and it does not made any significant transaction from past times. Along with that, these are the types of companies which do not file any annual returns and their financial statements from last 2 years. So this type of company is known as dormant company, which means that there are more aspects as generally what you think about the dormant company. It is not just about a company which is not actively working, that is known as dormant company. Of course it is the basic meaning and it is a more simplified meaning, but along with that you need to know a lot more about the dormant company. Like, dormant company is a company which do not do any significant transaction. Along with that, this is a type of company which does not file any annual returns or their financial statements from last 2 years. So these are very detailed informations about the dormant company. Now let's again move to that point which we already understood, that dormant means sleep, which means that a company which is not actively working. So now the main point is that a lot of students have doubts about dormant company, that if it is a type of company which is not actively working, it is not filing any return, and even it is not doing any transaction, so what's the purpose of actually making this type of a company, or why it is even in existence continuously? So let's discuss about the functions which generally a dormant company performs, or what is the purpose of establishing a dormant company, specifically when businessmen are even continuing establishing the dormant companies despite the fact that they are not actively working. So what are the purposes? So first purpose is holding asset or intellectual properties. Generally dormant company is not doing any operation, but despite of the fact, many people are opening dormant companies because they want to hold assets by the name of that company. They don't do the work by the name of that company, but they just want to take some assets and hold them by the name of that company which is not working, which is sleeping. Okay. So first purpose is to hold the assets or intellectual properties. Second is protecting their business names. Of course sometimes there are a lot more companies who want to protect their name, so therefore they established another company which is not actively working but still it is in existence. Why? Because they want to protect that particular name, and therefore they established a company which is not working yet, but it actually protects the name by which the company was established. Third is planning for future projects. Some of the companies are also there which were not working from past 2 years or 3 years because they have some future projects. So they are not working yet, but they will be working actively after a limited span of time because they are working on some future projects. So these are also considered as dormant companies. Along with that, restructuring or maybe awaiting for favorable market condition. Sometimes there are some companies which are not working for 2 years, or let's say 1.5 year. Why? Because they are waiting for some favorable market conditions, that when that favorable condition come, then they are going to exploit those conditions, and that is their main aim. So due to that fact, some of the companies are also considered as dormant company for that period of time when they are not working actively. So these are the different purposes of actually establishing a dormant company. Now what are the key characteristics of a dormant company? First, not actively trading. This is very understandable that these companies are not actively doing their trading and their operations, so of course they are not doing any trading actively. Second, retains corporate identity. Yeah, that is a very crucial point. Why? Because dormant companies are not doing any operations, and even they are not carrying out their business actively, but despite of that fact, whatever identity they had from the time of establishment, that identity still remains the same while they are not doing the work actively, because this doesn't relate with their corporate identity. So dormant company are able to retain their identity even in which years they are not working actively. Okay. Third is reduced compliance requirements. Generally this is a benefit to dormant company, and this is also a reason why people establish dormant companies, because dormant companies have very less compliance requirements, which means they don't have so much legal obligations on them, and therefore it is very easy to establish a dormant company. And the fourth characteristic is specific requirement, which means for establishing a dormant company, there are some specifications or there are some specific requirement which has to be fulfilled for establishing a dormant company. And what are these specific requirements? That if anybody wants to open a dormant company, that company shouldn't have any outstanding loans, because if you are not doing any operation, why you want a loan? Yes, it's very logical. No dues, there is no due, and there is no borrowing, and no legal proceedings, which means these are some specific requirements if any person want to establish a dormant company. So dormant company is not that much important from paper point of view, but I think every type of company is very important to understand from your knowledge point of view, and even any type of company can come within your examination. So this is all for the dormant company. I'll hope so that this video will remain beneficial for you all, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.